So thank you for hopping on with us today. Just some Zoom technical details to go over quickly. Please stay on mute unless you're talking. You can use speaker or gallery view. Beware of the screen share button. And please introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're calling in from. And we will have some fun Q&A interactive questions later for you to participate in. So for those of you who are new with us, I know we have a lot of returning familiar faces. Just want to start off with a quick overview of the Moonshot origin. So why did we start the Wellness Moonshot? Initially, we were inspired by JFK's Moonshot quote and Moonshot speech. And we want to apply similar aspirational thinking to achieve high range goals with greater urgency. So together we are hoping to bring together the best thought leaders in the wellness community from all over the world, those knowledgeable minds, scientists, doctors, health experts, and advocates into a growing support network to eradicate preventable chronic disease. And that messaging is making that way out into the world through you. These are last month's Moonshot numbers, where we have 3,400 organizations and individuals participating, impacting 152 million globally, which is wild. And between that last month and this month, we've already grown 300 more people, organizations and individuals, and have gone up impacting 85,000 more in just 1 month. So think about where we'll be at the end of 2021. It's very exciting growth to see. And we credit that growth to you. So thank you to our loyal participants who stick with us even when the Zoom link is outdated. Again, my apologies. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Suzy Ellis, who is our CEO of the Global Wellness Institute. And she's going to talk a little bit about making the case for the Wellness Moonshot. Suzy, let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Kendra. I just want to talk very quickly about prevention and a statistic. This is the one: 69% of all deaths globally are a result of preventable disease. And then there's another statistic that I actually like even better: 75% of healthcare costs go to things that could have been preventable. And I find that is really the reason for the Wellness Moonshot. And I love the idea of looking at the full moon and having all those 150 million people, Kendra, looking at the full moon at the same time each month and thinking about prevention. And if you'll show the next slide, I just today wanted to share with you something that I have found to be very motivating. It is a poem, and the poem is called "The Fence or the Ambulance." And I've heard this story told a variety of times in the wellness arena, but I never knew that there was actually a poem that was the genesis of it. So I'm going to read the poem very quickly, not the whole thing, but most of it, because I think people will enjoy recognizing how this resonates today. So it's called "The Ambulance Down in the Valley." It was a poem written in 1895. "'Twas a dangerous cliff, as they freely confessed, though to walk near its crest was so pleasant. But over its terrible edge there had slipped a duke and full many a peasant. So the people said something would have to be done, but their projects did not at all tally. Some said, put up a fence around the edge of the cliff. Some said, an ambulance down in the valley. But the cry for the ambulance carried the day, for it spread through the neighboring city. A fence may be useful or not, it is true, but each heart became full of pity for those who slipped over the dangerous cliff, and the dwellers in highway and alley gave pounds and gave pence, not to put up a fence, but an ambulance down in the valley. For the cliff is all right if you're careful, they said. And if folks even slip and are dropping, it isn't the slipping that hurts them so much as the shock down below when they're stopping. So day after day, as these mishaps occurred, quick forth would those rescuers sally to pick up the victims who fell off the cliff with their ambulance down in the valley. There, then an old sage remarked, it's a marvel to me that people give far more attention to repairing results than to stopping the cause, when they'd much better aim at prevention. Wow, does that sound familiar? Let us stop at its source. All this mischief, cried he. This is the old sage. Come, neighbors and friends, let us rally. If the cliff we will fence, we might almost dispense with the ambulance down in the valley. But the sensible few who are practical too will not bear with such nonsense much longer. They believe that prevention is better than cure, and their party will soon be the stronger. Encourage them then with your purse, voice, and pen, and while other philanthropists dally, they will scorn all pretense and put up a stout fence on that cliff that hangs over the valley. And the last verse is, better guide well the young than reclaim them when old, for the voice of true wisdom is calling. To rescue the fallen is good, but 'tis best to prevent other people from falling. Better close up the source of temptation and crime than deliver from dungeon or galley. Better put up a strong fence around the top of the cliff than an ambulance down in the valley. Over to you, Kendra. I just thought that was something to ponder today.
It's great food for thought. Thank you for sharing, Suzy. And I'll just go back to this initial thing that you introduced about the causes of preventable disease too, with the poor diet, mental and emotional health disorders, too little activity, and environmental pollution, because I'm about to launch the first poll of the March full moon celebration. So I would love everyone to participate. Can you see the poll? Everyone, out of the many causes of preventable disease, which do you think might be the easiest to address first? And of course, we'd like to keep you on the edge of that cliff, like the poem Suzy shared, and we will not reveal the results to the poll until the very end. Ooh, very interesting. I feel like I have a sneak peek. 40 out of 63 have voted. Please cast your vote. We'll give one more moment and then we will move on. All right. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for some fun results at the end of the celebration. So next up, last time during our wonder session, we asked the question, how does the full moon inspire wonder about wellness? And we love to incorporate the moon into the moonshot thinking. So I've collected all of the responses from last time and would love to share all of this excitement about the moon with you. How does it inspire wonder about wellness? Well, it's awe-inspiring. It has robust magical energy and vibrancy, high vibrations. There's phases and development, progress and growth. You know, we're working towards something, 300 more people involved, 300 more organizations involved from last month. That's great progress. There's lightness and darkness, illumination on many levels, cycles and renewal. So all of this very exciting feedback about the moon. So we want to channel this energy and momentum into what we'll call the Moon Minute, which is a quick moment to share fun facts about the moon. So I'll leave you with this luminous graphic so you can stare up at least until tonight. I know it might be nighttime for some of you, but it is daytime on the East Coast in the US. So just sharing some fun facts about the moon so we can always keep it top of mind. Moonshot. The moon is Earth's nearest cosmic neighbor and its constant companion, as the moon is Earth's only natural satellite, which is very interesting. And the Earth and the moon are tidally locked. So their rotations are so in sync, we only see one side of the moon at all times. So we always see that man in the moon. He's overlooking, he or she is overlooking all of the progress that we're making with moonshot thinking. The moon has no moons, the moon has no rings. And the full March moon is also known as the worm moon, which references the warmth that is restored to Earth this time of year, at least on this side of the Earth. And for millennia, people across the world, including Native Americans, named the moons after natural cues. And each full moon has its own nickname that can vary around the world. So if you have any fun facts about the moon that you find particularly inspiring, please reach out, send them to me, and we can share them in our upcoming Moon Minutes for full moon celebrations. So now I have the pleasure of introducing Renee Moorfield, who writes our fabulous articles each month about the Moonshot. And Renee Moorfield is the CEO of Wisdom Works, a social enterprise that builds well-being driven leaders, brands, and workplaces globally. And she is on the board of the Global Wellness Institute, and she'll speak about this month's focus, which is Prosper. Renee?
Thank you, Kendra. I'm again delighted. I know I say it every month. It's always so fun to see faces and to know that we are part of growing a consciousness around the world, and with that consciousness, different behaviors for taking care of ourselves, supporting the wellness in other people. So this month, on the topic of Prosper, it was particularly close to my heart, and I'll tell you why in just a second. You know, most people in the world think of prosper as the definition of wealth, but don't think about the connection of it to well-being. So we've had a real divided mind when it comes to this word prosper. We spend a lot of our lives focusing on acquiring money and things, material things, rather than cultivating the well-being that is naturally innately within us. We work long hours for a title or a particular role or a career path. Nothing wrong with that, but often we do it at the expense of our own vitality. And we build whole organizations and societies that don't invest, just as Suzy talked about in the fence and the ambulance, don't invest in wellness and prevention, only to have to pay that price for illness and disease later on. So when I think about Prosper, we're really thinking about what is this integration between, and it's a new consciousness of marrying wealth and well-being to be able to grow strong and healthy, to thrive, to be successful, to make progress in our lives and our work. Fortunately, what I think is really exciting for us is that and I said this in the article, but we can rely on wisdom from past traditions that already have this. We can rely on our lineages that have already done this marrying. And you will see in the article some of those, but a few of them. The Hindu goddess Lakshmi equally embodies wealth and fortune. She's all about wealth and fortune, but she's also about beauty and joy. So there's that marriage. Certain views in Judaism claim that man should not only create wealth, but use it for individual and public welfare. And Buddhist wealth deities are part of rituals to help us reduce attachment to material concerns, because when we reduce those attachments, generosity and our inner peace go up. So there's this natural relationship. We're also finding, I have counted up to 25 indices in countries around the world that are starting to measure, and have been over the last few years, measuring the well-being of societies, not just gross national output. So we now have a movement in our societies to look at, wait a minute, maybe the ways we've been measuring our success, not only in our lives and in our families, but in our organizations, in our countries, maybe we've been missing the mark. So we need to be looking at well-being overall. So I wanted for us to kind of connect into this sense of what does it mean to live prosperously. I think when we were trying to kind of navigate this call and get started, we were all having a conversation with Jeff about this inner sensibility of well-being, this inner sensibility of prosperity. And what I'd like to do is a little mindfulness practice just to help us kind of connect in to that. So if you're right at the computer, if you'll just push away from the computer, even if it's a millimeter, just as a ritual or a little signal to your body and your mind that you're not going to be sending your energy towards the computer, but that you're going to turn your attention toward yourself. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. I'm just going to read a prayer to you. And I'd like for you to just take it in, just notice the effects it has on you. For a moment, as you turn your attention inward, as if you had window shutters on either side of your body, and those window shutters are now closing inward, so that your attention turns to your body and your breath. It's beginning to notice how the inhale moves into the body. And also noticing how the exhale leaves the body. And just that very act of noticing, your breath may have started to lengthen. So allow your breath to lengthen, making that inspiration a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper, making that expiration, that exhalation a little bit longer. Knowing that the breath is an invitation for your body to fully relax and allow the chair and the floor to completely support you. I'm going to read this prayer by author and polymath Jackson Kiddard. I prayed for change, so I changed my mind. I prayed for guidance and learned to trust myself. I prayed for happiness and realized I am not my ego. I prayed for peace and learned to accept others unconditionally. I prayed for abundance and realized my doubt kept it out. I prayed for wealth and realized it is my health. I prayed for a miracle and realized I am the miracle. I prayed for a soulmate and realized I am the one. And I prayed for love and realized it's always knocking, but I have to let it in. So with your next breath, just notice the effects of these words on your body and your mind and your energy. Become aware of the sounds in the room around you. And if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open your eyes. For me, this is all about shifting our relationship with wealth and being able to include well-being. And that's our definition of prosper.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Renee. That was fantastic. And it was enlightening to remember that there's inspiration as in the breath and inspiration in collective thought leadership about prosper and moonshot thinking. So thank you. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Jeffrey Rediger, who has spent 15 years studying spontaneous healing, pioneering the use of scientific tools to investigate recoveries for incurable illness. He is the author of Cured, Strengthen Your Immune System and Heal Your Life. It's a great read, I highly recommend. He is on the faculty of Harvard Medical School, and he's been featured on Oprah and Dr. Oz, and he is doing us the pleasure of attending today. So thank you, Jeffrey, and he'll speak on prosperity, prevention, immunity, and healing identity. Over to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with all of you this morning. And Renee, I so appreciate what you had to say and the poem that you read. It captures so much, and it shows how these great spiritual traditions, these wisdom traditions, give us so much of the path that is healing and creates genuine well-being for all of us. So thank you for that. So yes, I've been studying these amazing individuals for years now, these people who have medical evidence for recovery from illnesses that are traditionally considered incurable. And it's just taught me so much. It's taught me that, yes, well-being and health are about healing the immune system. It's about healing our relationship with nutrition. It's about healing our relationship with stress. It's about a lot of things, but it's also about more than that. It's also about healing our beliefs at a deeper level. One of the most common things that people have said to me over the years in the context of their healing is that it took an illness for them to wake up and realize that they needed to stop taking care of everyone else. They needed to stop responding to the perceived expectations of others and instead begin paying attention to what creates life and well-being within them. And that, for many of us, is such a different way of thinking. I think many of us grow up, especially those of us who are in the helping traditions, it's easy to think that we need to take care of others. We try to take care of others. We care about what's going on for others. But if you don't also pay attention to what is going on within you, and if you don't pay attention to what creates life and well-being within yourself, you can become depleted and run down. And that's the opposite of prosperity and wealth. And so, Kendra, you said something a few weeks ago. You said that wealth is an inside job. And I think that's really true. I think that true wealth begins on the inside by learning to create this prosperity within by knowing your value. If you know that you are a masterpiece, that you bring something unrepeatable and valuable into the world, that creates the foundation that then creates the possibility for sustainable wealth on the outside and real prosperity. So it's an inside job. And how do we nurture that foundation within us that creates the motivation and the vitality that wants to go out and heal our immune system or change our nutrition? Because those things take effort and they take education. And so I just see over and over again that the people who are motivated to do those things have also gone through a process of healing their beliefs. We all grow up with a complex series of true and false beliefs, conscious and unconscious beliefs. We inherit them from our parents, from kids on the playground, from the perceptions we make from different experiences we have, from professors and teachers and colleagues and friends and partners. And these beliefs, some of them are true and some of them are false. And for the most part, they're unexamined. And I have come to believe over time that if we have a collection of true and false beliefs that we carry around and that create our perceptions of ourselves in the world, then we're going to have mixed results in our life, mixed results with our prosperity and wealth, mixed results with our health. So there's a lot of value to eliminating the false beliefs that undercut us and prevent us from knowing the magnificence of who we are and the magnificence of each individual that we have the opportunity to encounter. So wealth begins from within, and it creates a genuine prosperity. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and for the wonderful things that are being said in regards to all of this.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We'll definitely keep that in mind to build our own prosperity from the inside out and then spread the word from there. So thank you so much for being with us today. And everybody check out Cured. I learned a lot from reading it. Thank you. So now we will be moving on to our interactive portion of the session, which hopefully is everybody's, some people's favorite part. So I'm going to be sharing some questions, and we would love for you to participate in the chat with your answers. So first up is, how can we create greater urgency around prevention? How can we build the fence instead of more fences, fewer ambulances? Especially in a pandemic. Be happy. Share our stories. Global awareness campaign. That's what we're doing, right, Nancy? Wonderful. Live it ourselves. Start with the seed. That's interesting because there's a question about that in a little bit. Share stories and staying relevant to today's issues. That's true. It's very relevant right now. So we're hoping to jumpstart some urgency in the community. All right, I will move on to the next question. What is a belief you hold about money? Jeffrey touched on this. We have beliefs that we inherit from our parents, from our environments, from our experiences. How does that shape that intersection of wealth and well-being? Money has that icky feeling. We don't talk about it a lot. That's what Renee touched on in her article. How can we talk about it? Make it less taboo. Actually, hold that thought. That might be an upcoming question. It is elusive. It does provide security. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Money is a need. Unfortunately, can cause tension. Security, safety, and freedom. Similar but different. It is an energy. Self-worth and self-value. Interesting words. I like this. Thank you for participating, by the way. All right, next up, these are fabulous answers. So please continue, share away, share away. We will be circulating the chat at the end in the follow-up as well, along with the recording. So how can we work towards destigmatizing taboo wellness topics? Money, mental health, others. It's important to reshape your relationship with money. It's hard to talk about. Real conversations. Easier said than done, though. Wow, lots of speedy responses, so fast you can't even catch them. Being vulnerable, and helping others, that's great. And last but not least, how can we plant seeds for our future prosperity? Similar to the fence versus the ambulance, how can we really plan ahead? We're working towards that consistency, Sherry. We are aligning our beliefs and planning for the future. Wonderful. Well, thank you for participating. And now we will have the opportunity to break out into smaller groups. So I'm going to assign everyone to a breakout room, roughly about 10 people. So you get to share in a smaller setting. I know it can be a little intimidating to share in a bigger group. So please, in that session, talk about what was surprising from the Q&A and anything specific to prosperity that comes to mind. All right, ready? I am opening the rooms and let me know, message me if you have any issues. Welcome back. How are your breakout rooms? Does anyone in particular would like to share about your smaller discussions?
Kendra, I was in group 9. This is Betsy. And towards the end, someone made the point that really this type of change, this perception of well-being versus wealth has to start at such a young age that usually it comes when people are older. Maybe they've had a very serious illness and then they're forced to come to grips with it. I thought that was so interesting. We don't teach children or young children about different kind of success or values. I found that fascinating. So that was group 9.
Go group 9. Thank you, Betsy, for sharing.
I was also part of group 9, and I just wanted to mention that the other thing that we can teach people is it's okay to ask for help, especially when it comes to mental well-being, and that just is something we really need to get our arms around.
Mhm.
Yes, sometimes it's easier said than done, right? But we're making progress talking about asking for help. So we're making some change. We're making movement. Anyone else? Who wants to
Kendra.
compete with Group 9?
I was in group 1 and we talked about how a lot of our beliefs come from negative beliefs that were ingrained as children. Maybe our parents believed them, like the rich get rich, the poor get poor, or there's never enough to support. I was from a family, I had 3 younger siblings, and my dad was a teacher, so I never made very much money. And so that idea that there was never enough money, and that it gets ingrained at a very early age, that it's hard to change that as you get older. So I think the challenge is really understanding, becoming aware that those negative beliefs exist and that they're not real. And it's the scarcity bias that we have, that there actually is enough. It's all about perception. It's energy. I think somebody commented in some of the answers to your questions that it's just energy, and it's our kind of a view of how we see it. And it does come from within.
Very true. And we tend to shy away from it, which can be scary. And when we shy away from it, we don't think about, how we could use it proactively versus reactively, money, and then it adds up. So thank you for sharing, Amy.
Thank you.
I was in group 2, Kendra, and it was very interesting that Miles brought up the whole, he was talking about the term the daily grind, and how that came from a time when you would have to spend several hours a day just grinding up corn so that you could have bread at dinner time. And we were talking about, just in a transaction, as you buy your loaf of bread and you put across your $5 or $8 or whatever it is where you are, if you stop for a moment and just had some reverence and some gratitude to the chain of labor that has gone into that loaf of bread, and take a moment to actually value what it is that we're doing, instead of it just being an instantaneous transaction, but actually to give it just a little bit of attention.
Definitely. Love the note to gratitude. Thank you for sharing, John. Very important to appreciate what you have. What's with grass is greener syndrome? The color this month is green. We're always kind of thinking about what we don't have, but it's good to appreciate what you do have.
Hi, Kendra.
Hello.
If I can put in a creative thought here, having spent my life putting in programs in business, they all love 3-word titles. And it strikes me, we have 2 separate words here. We have wealth and we have well-being, and the 2 don't go together. And so I wrote down, what if well-being was wealth? And that created a wealth of well-being. And there is a wealth of well-being, and that actually gives you a title of wow. And then wrapping something around, the Wealth of Wellbeing program is a wow program. And once you've got a single simple concept, then off you go from there. That was just creative thought.
Thank you. We should use you for branding. Fantastic. Wow. And speaking of wow, your Moonshot calendar looks fantastic in the backdrop. So kudos. Well, thank you so much for those of you who have shared with us. I would love to now turn to the results of the poll that was announced earlier. So can you see the results? That we have selected physical inactivity as the easiest thing to address first, which is perfect because we will be tapping into movement in a bit with Lisa. So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for participating, and we will thank you for sharing your thoughts. And now I would also like to announce the winner of the March Moonshot Challenge, who is on this call, I believe, still on the call. I saw her earlier. But the challenge this month was to spread the Wellness Moonshot, specifically the hashtag Wellness Moonshot, because we're trying to get our messaging to proliferate on various social media channels. So I would like to announce that the winner this month is Sarah Jones from Mexicaribe in Playa del Carmen. in Mexico. So she told us that every month she shares the Wellness Moonshot with her social media audience in both English and in Spanish. So thank you for doing that translation work. Muchas gracias. Inviting people to partake in Mexico, the Caribbean, and Latin America to take part in the Wellness Moonshot. And she is the lucky winner of a wellness calendar. We'll be reaching out with you, Sarah, if not on the call, to get your address. And bravo. Yeah, I see some claps. Thank you so much. Wonderful. And next month, just as a heads up, for the April full moon celebration, the topic is hope. And our meeting will be on Thursday, April 29th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for our next newsletter in April. And now, last but not least, I would like to introduce Lisa Fasulo, who's the founder and director of the Center for Transformative Movement. I connected with her early this week, and I learned a lot about how easy the practice is to help you feel better. And because we all agree that physical inactivity is the easiest place we can start for some prevention, she's going to help us shake up that physical activity and restore, refresh, and radiate our energy. So I'm going to be sharing some music. I don't want to make it too loud so we can hear, Lisa's instructions. So please feel free to crank up the music on your end so we can all move together. Lisa?
Thank you, Kendra. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's movement and meditation. My name is Lisa, and I'm going to be sharing today with you a technique that's simple and easy, and it's going to clear our energetic field, which is really just the space that we occupy as we go through our days. You can use this anytime you're feeling that sense of not prosper, when it feels like intensity is growing and it's coming in on you, pressure, you're feeling it in your body as pain, maybe too many thoughts, or just emotionally not good. So what we're going to do is stand up, feet shoulder distance apart, and just kind of bop around your space on your toes, pushing off from your toes.
Jeffrey, I know you want to dance.
Let's press out. Let's open it up. Press. How many ways can you press? Open up that space. With your hips. Good. So we're opening up that space. Literally, let's start to move it. Like just move it any way you want. Circulate it. Turning around. When we move it, we move out stagnant energies or anything self-limiting that Renee was talking about. Good. And now let's paint it, just like the watercolors that reveal what's there. Painting it and revealing what's in your space. How can you paint into your back?
I see some dance skeptics, but
really shaking it out. Expanded it. We have moved it. We are painting it. And you can do this practice anytime, anywhere. I find it easy to clients that love to learn it. And let's really count. Anchor it in. And little shakes. Woo. Beautiful. And last part. And really open it.
Also, one more time.
not prosperity. So thank you, everyone.